As the NXL headed to Chicago for the 2020 Windy City Major, the two names haunting the rest of the Pro League were familiar to anyone who had been a fan of the game in the modern era. Edmonton Impact and Houston Heat, with their wins at the first two events, were on familiar ground. These two teams have always been on the tip of everyone's tongues when talking about the best teams in the world. Again, they had proved their supremacy early on in the season. Now the question was, could they stay at the top with all the strong squads like Dynasty, X Factor, and the Russians, legends in their own right, hot on their heels. Also, new teams were in the hunt for their own slice of paintball greatness. For those at the bottom of the standings, a scary situation awaited them if they could not pull out of their downward spiral. Relegation back down to the semi-pro division awaited the last place team at the end of the year. This event was the last chance to prove yourself before the World Cup.
These victories, light these guys on fire. Jesus' name we pray, man. Hey, hey, pick it up, boys. Right here, right now. 1 point at a time. Believe in your brother. Let's go.
1 point at a time, guys. Team of 1, 2, 3.
Team squad. Hey, believe in you, boys. Let's go.
A confusing and unprecedented situation confronted the teams on Sunday morning. Due to darkness, the prelims could not be finished on Saturday, so Sunday started off Impact vs Damage and Revo vs Level to figure out who moved on and who played who. Everyone in the Pro Division who had a chance to make Sunday showed up early to see what went down. Damage put up a big lead on Impact, and though they held on for a 1-point win, they didn't do enough, and they were eliminated yet again, taking another 11th place. Baltimore Revo skated through into the wildcard round, even though they dropped to a tough Columbus level. Revo was missing Frank Antetomaso and Steven O'Mara, two of its best players. And they also almost lost Snake veteran Dan Zaleski in their game against the Outlaws when he collided with Jason Stapula. Though Zaleski dislocated his shoulder, was slightly concussed, and put his front teeth completely through his bottom lip, he was stitched up and still playing on Sunday. Revo would need him. Revo did enough in the prelims with their win over Damage. The head-to-head victory on Friday ended up being the tie-breaking technicality. Revo would now fight against Edmonton Impact in the wildcard match. After winning the first event and taking second outside of Philly, Impact looked mortal in the prelims, going 2-2 and losing to both Level and Damage, and almost missing Sunday. The Revo vs Impact match would be an epic way to start a crazy day. Edmonton Impact was in unfamiliar territory. They never had to play for their tournament lives this early on. And through the first 3 points, they looked focused, cruising to a 3-0 lead, with a strong presence on the D side with Justin Cornell, and on the Snake side with Alex Goldman.
History of paintball, when teams go in with that skeleton squad, they tend to do better because, first of all, guys know that they need to step up, that sometimes don't, whether it's in big moments or just throughout the event, and they're getting more playing time. So I think them having a shorter roster helped them because it gave guys more spins than they usually would get if they had the other bodies there.
Revo crawled back slowly but surely mid-match, trading bodies on the break, and they pushed forward. First it was Mike Zupa in the Snake, with Matt Derula holding the line and winning gunfights right behind him. Chris Shear was a threat on the D side, and Thomas Mantoni and the battered but tenacious Dan Zaleski all stayed in the fight. It was a 1-point match with 4:50 left to play, the score 5-4. Off the break, the D side for both teams was decimated. Revo was up a body, and Dan Zaleski ran through the center to break things open. Thomas Mantoni running in to hit the buzzer to tie the game for the first time.
Here comes Zaleski. Zaleski on the move, and he comes through and bunkers out Yakimek.
Alex Goldman then had an early kill in the next point, going gun dominant over the top of his spot to shoot a body at the inside tower, and then he got right into the 50 Snake yet again. But he was on the razor's edge. He pushed forward trying to bunker out Zupa, who was being watched by Derula. Goldman drew a major, and Derula finished out the point to take the lead.
That should be the decider here in this specific. It might be the decider in the match, Rich. You're right. As Derula comes down and blasts the last two.
When we brought 11 that tournament, I just thought guys weren't really getting into a groove, but we also didn't even really connect in the pit and talk about how did we just expose the team. You know, we were just always constantly trying to think about what's next, and try to be a step ahead of the other team, but we weren't really analyzing the moments.
Revo now had the lead with 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go. One more point, and they could finish off the #1 ranked team in the league. But Impact answered. The battle went down again on the Snake side between Zupa and Goldman. Both teams dropped a body, but Goldman and Justin Rabikoff powered down their side. Shear and Mantoni made it interesting, and the game was tied yet again.
No penalty, but Rabbit does get shot. It's a one-on-one, but then but Trevor Reeser's going to win himself a
Save
point.
the day. Save the day.
Then Shear saved Revo in the last seconds in relegation, as Impact almost stole the win. It went into overtime. Revo went on the offensive, beating Impact up the field and getting into better positions in overtime. Zuba launched to bunker out Goldman, but he couldn't get there before taking hits. It was 4-on-4 in anyone's game until a penalty killed Impact's chances.
Terrible death for Zuba.
Terrible death for Zuba there.
Oh my God, but great job by Goldman to stay alive. This is
Tech Mouse running referee on JC over there in the corner.
And he's going to pull him out, but it looks like, and they're going to lose the ball as well too, and a flag, and that's just Goldman. I think this might seal up the win. Can Goldman pull off a 4-on-1? I don't know. Jarula's going to dunk on him, and that is going to do it.
Revo moved on to battle Houston Heat in the quarterfinals. With the come-from-behind victory, everyone was wondering if they had the depth and the ability to take down 2 Titans in a row in Chicago.
Like I said right after I watched all our games when I got home, that was one of Impact's worst performances and some of the best that I've seen some of those teams play that beat us.
The Los Angeles Ironmen and Seattle Uprising would also battle in the wildcard round. For both teams, this would be their first appearance on Sunday in 2021. In the prelims, Uprising got off to a rough start on Friday, dropping to both Energy Elite and LA Infamous, but they surged on Saturday, defeating Thunder and New York Extreme. Uprising's core has been playing together for years, and though they've beat top teams in the past, they were well overdue for a solid finish. After the Ironmen's Las Vegas win in early 2020, the long COVID break upturned their forward trajectory. It had a series of disappointing finishes since then, but their roster still contained enough firepower to contend.
Going into Sunday, we felt confident. We had practiced Uprising. They came out here to practice us, and of course that's who we end up playing on Sunday, right? So we already had a feel for what they were doing, but they also had a feel for what we were doing.
Uprising got off to a great start, attacking the Snake with a patient but aggressive Tommy Tucker, while they shot bodies on the break and controlled zones, taking a 2-0 lead.
We came out so flat on Sunday. Remember, there was like 2 or 3 points, I think, where it felt good. And you are not going to win a match on Sunday, let alone win the tournament on Sunday, if that's how you're playing.
Tommy Tucker goes through, gets caught.
Yeah, pulls out Silos. Beautiful job. So Tucker with a 2-pack here.
The Ironmen answered in point number 3, as Nick Sloviak broke it open with a big run-through in the center of the field.
Tommy Tucker comes over the top, tries to get a shot on Nick. Nick makes an amazing move forward.
Going to get Tucker untouched. Nick's going to come through, get 2, and then gets blasted, but
nice
at least just 1 body left alive.
In the next point, both teams dropped bodies early in the chaos, but a penalty on veteran Al Fernandez sealed the point for Uprising, and they were back up by 2. So far, Uprising had been able to contain the Ironman snake attacker Silos Cortez, but in the next point, he finally broke out and helped the Ironmen get 1 back.
Silos has taken his game to a completely other level. I mean, he's probably putting in more work than anybody on the team right now. Whether it's on or off the field, he's in it. And it's honestly cool to see, and it's been awesome to see him, I feel like, reach that next level. Because he's playing better paintball now than I think I've ever seen him play.
At this point, it was anyone's game, 3-2 with 6 minutes and 45 seconds left. But Uprising continued to play the first aggressor. Tucker continued to impress in the snake, and both Alexander Borromeo and Nick Ormrod had big moments to save points.
Past the 50-yard line there on your screen as we hit the 5-minute mark. Uprising trying to increase their lead to 2, and it looked like they should be able to do it.
We would even call out. We knew Tucker was going to the 50 snake. He was going to look inside and shoot at the can. And I mean, he did that every single point. We couldn't stop him. And then Joel Eaton actually played really good up the Dorito side. I was doing really well coming out and shooting the Dorito 1 guy off break. And I swear, he was faster than anybody going in that Dorito. I would come out and I would see his feet sliding into it. And like, well, shit, Dorito 1's hot.
Big move by Ormrod. Oh, and Ormrod untouched. This is an awesome job by Ormrod, and then they get the kill crossfield as well too. So.
I mean, we rattled off a couple points at the end when we were pushing, but I mean, they pretty much had our number the whole time. They were in control the whole time, and you could tell, and they felt it.
Uprising sent the Ironmen home with another disappointing finish, and they moved on to the quarterfinals to play Los Angeles Infamous. Columbus Level showed a slice of what they could bring to the Pro League when they beat Heat in their last game at the Mid-Atlantic Major. Though they beat the superstar squad who ended up taking the win, they were still 1-7 through 8 games and sitting dead last.
If I'm going to quit playing pro paintball, I'm going to do it on my terms. I'm not going to be asked to leave. I'm not going to be told to leave. I'm not going to be forced out. I'm not going to be relegated. And I think leading into Chicago, like, there was a very defensive attitude. Like, hey man, I'm not as bad as those standings and those scores say I am. Like, yeah, okay, I'm not the best in the world, but I'm not that bad. And there was a lot of that attitude for Chicago.
No one thought that they would come out guns blazing and roll right through their prelim bracket undefeated, but that's exactly what they did, rolling through Damage and the Outlaws, beating Revo and Impact by 1 point to emerge as the first seed. Heading into the third event, they needed to make Sunday in order to keep relegation back down to the semi-pro division off the table. They played like men motivated by disaster on the horizon, and they played the best paintball we've ever seen them play.
Hitting that buzzer, Danny getting up there, hitting that buzzer, winning 4-0 was huge. That was one of those things that just showed us that we belong here. We're here to stay, and we're here to work as hard as we can until we're considered and respected as one of the top teams in the division, because we're here to prove that.
Of the top, 3 or 4 teams in the world, X Factor was like the last one that we hadn't played and beat yet. Going up against them in our first Sunday was kind of appropriate.
X Factor wanted a better result here in Chicago. For a team of this caliber, 7th and 9th place at the start of the year was unsatisfactory. They had a stumble in the prelims, getting mercy ruled by Houston Heat in their second game, but they won their other 3 matches in convincing fashion. They also had a few new players to add to the mix, bringing in some new firepower with the addition of D-side attacker Anthony Bowles and Sean Salcedo, who would help Billy Bernacci handle duties in the Snake.
Going into the X Factor match, we had hit such a high that the balloon had inflated. We couldn't let anything leak out.